Finally managed to figure it out, chat. After all these years, I finally know how to debunk the claim that the United States of America is a systemic racist country. Okay, it's worse than racist. It is systemic racism. So, what does systemic racism mean? Like, in order to debunk something, you need to actually understand it. It has the word racism in it in order to make it look evil. But like, what does it mean? Well, they're talking about the meritocratic capitalist society, but when they say systemic racism, what they mean is that there is this great overarching, this grand conspiracy. If you've played Baldur's Gate, it's kind of like the Illithid conspiracy. Okay, like it's a shadowy cabal of people in power, and this conspiracy has white people conspiring with each other without even knowing. Like, this is I have read some academic papers. Like, I know I don't like to read, but I have done so. And in those academic papers, it literally, like, I'm trying to simplify it, they use a lot of academic jargon in order to sound intelligent. But in reality, what they are saying is this: white people are conspiring with each other without even knowing. Okay? So right now, you are conspiring with your fellow man in order to keep minorities down. And the explanation is that up until now, racism was overt. So you had like people being racist to each other in public. But the white person, they developed a new type of racism, which is covert. So they're doing it in secret. Now, I don't know why they are doing it in secret. What is the purpose? Like, if you can do it, why just not do it in public? But for some reason, like, they pretend that they don't want to be racist and that racism is bad, but they do it in secret. And they do it with this grand conspiracy where they don't even know that they're conspiring with each other, but they do. And again, the only solution for it is to vote Democrat and to have diversity, inclusivity, and equity as the moral guidance of society. How batshit crazy does this sound, by the way? Like, from a scale of 0 to 10. How, like think about the wackiest right-wing conspiracy theory. Like, whatever you want, you know, like 5G, magnets, I don't fucking know. But, like, think about the one that sounds like the most bizarre. And compare it to the one that the left is not only pushing, but is like mainstream academic thought. Like, people in the academia unironically believe this. And by the way, like, the patriarchy is a spin-off of it. Like they have various spin-offs, okay? The patriarchy is just another one of the example where all the men in one country are conspiring with each other without even knowing, and they're getting their brothers and sisters involved, you know? But yeah, I mean, even like the flat Earth conspiracy theory, like you can make the claim. Well, actually, I was never in space, so therefore, you know, like as batshit crazy as it is, like, it has, like, I don't know, like the thing that I like about conspiracies is that it has this deniability. Like if you generally do not trust information from any other person, okay, like if you're at the level of skepticism where you believe that everybody is lying to you, yeah, like certain conspiracy theories might be proved true, right? Because it's like, well, how do you know? Well, someone else took a picture. Yeah, but I don't believe that person. They edited the photo, right? So if you're that level of, but even then, you can still prove. It's like, hold on a little bit. Like, you're saying that I am conspiring with other people. No, that can't be right. Or you're saying that the people around me are conspiring with each other and they don't know it. Wait, how does that work? Like, unironically, try to plan something. You know, plan a birthday party. Plan a trip. And you'll see just how difficult it is to plan something when you're talking to people. Like, when you're expressing words to other people and you're working together to accomplish a goal, it is difficult. Now imagine accomplishing the goal, which is, according to systemic racism, is to keep minorities down, right? So, like, society is trying to accomplish this without even talking to each other. Like, holy shit, you know, like using your brain, it's like, well, that is, how does that even work? V late because of Tenma stream. I hope Tenma is doing well. But anyway, right? So this is what they unironically believe. Like their conspiracy theories never get debunked, never get fact checked. However, how do you debunk it? Because you can actually, you know, I mean, you can't debunk it, but you can make so that a person that claims it looks ridiculous, right? So like if I was to argue with a Democrat, or you argue with the person on Twitter, or Christmas is coming, if you have the woke uncle, sorry, if you have the woke nephew, you know how everyone in the media is saying like, oh, if you have the racist uncle, okay, if you have the woke nephew, what are you going to tell them, right? The woke nephew comes to you and goes like, I'm a systemic America, blah, 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 blah. What are you going to say in order to debunk him, huh? Here's my take on what you will say. You will say, give me an example of a nation on Earth that wasn't woke. So that we can compare. So that we can see what America is doing and what that other nation was doing correctly. If you ask them this question, it's just like one question, just one question you ask. If you ask them like, give me an example of a nation that wasn't systemically racist, three things can happen. Number one, they block you. This is like on Twitter. Out of sight, out of mind, so that they can return to their delusion. Oh my god, no, Japan is racist. What are you talking about? That's what they will say. No, like, they will either tell you that they don't want to talk to you anymore, so they will block you. The second thing that they can do is admit, like I had 3 people today, because I was engaging with this topic, this is why I brought it up. They will admit that they do not know. They will say, well, I'm an American, so I only know about America. Which is precisely the point. And then you can point out, well, aren't you like a religious person just wanting a society free of sin? And such a society was never created, doesn't exist, and will never exist? And ironically, it's like a Christian that's like, oh, I want to create a society without sin. But that would be like against humanity. Like even Jesus doesn't claim that you can a human being can be without sin. And you can try to fight against sin, but anyway. The third one is that they may actually give you an example. I had the person that gave me an example of some tribal village or some shit. And I'm like, okay, well, that just proves that systemic racism is better, because the people who live in that tribal village, even the richest ones, they have less access to amenities than even the poorest minorities in the United States. And it's true. Like, if you look at statistics, when you look at people in the United States, even the poorest, like people who live in ghettos, they have access to more amenities than most people from around the world. And it's this lack of gratefulness, and the idea of destroying the thing. But it's an idea like you want to destroy something without building first, right? It's kind of like destroying your house, thinking you can build it better. Which, you know, maybe you can, but like, what if you can't? And now you have your house ruined and you're homeless. And by the time you build a new one, what do? Do you sleep on the streets? It takes a long time to build a house. Again, we talked about the demographic issues. The demographic issues are a non-issue, okay? Like, I will paint it one more time. I will use my advanced Photoshop techniques to show people why the demographics in Japan are actually part of normality, and they're part of the human experience, okay? So, let's say that this axis is the number of people, right? And this axis is time. Alright, so basically the expectation is that every single generation needs to have more people than the last, right? So you want humanity to like grow like this? And the question is, like, don't you think it will stop at some point? Like, don't you think like normally it would plateau and then go down and then go back up again? Like isn't this how demographics normally should happen? Right? Because, like, if you think that demographics should be like fucking this, it's unsustainable. Like, unironically, this is genuinely unsustainable. Like, no matter what you say, if human beings would keep fucking and, like, every single generation would be exponentially bigger than the other one, you'd have a graph like this. Okay? So, no, like, this is not normal. What Europe is saying, when they're saying bring refugees or whatever, right? What they're saying is bring slaves. That's what they're saying. Bring slave labor. Because the problem isn't the demographics. The problem is the welfare state. And Japan has a welfare state, right? Like normally, if you have a society that is pretty much like what humanity had for thousands of years, that like how humanity has functioned all the way up until like 60 years ago, the idea was that when you get old, you have your children to take care of you. So you're incentivized to have kids. And not just any kids, you're incentivized to also raise your kids properly so that they are grateful, right? You shouldn't be abusive to your kids. You shouldn't be nasty to your kids, because the idea is that when you grow old, they're going to look after you. So in that society, yeah, you're going to have like 5-6 kids. And those kids are going to then, when you grow old, at least some of them hopefully survive, you know, because there's diseases, there's wars, there's whatever. And hopefully, like, some of them survive, and then some of them are grateful so that they take care of you when you're old. So the previous way of thinking is to incentivize big families, right? Welfare state, what does welfare do? Well, welfare means that you take money from everyone so that they don't give it to their family. And then the government is like the company Patreon. And Patreon gives you your allowance. And Patreon at any point can choose not to give it to you, or if you don't have enough subscribers, you can't, right? So basically, the government now can choose who gets the money, can choose whether or not they want to keep giving you money, can choose like what you must do in order to obey. And in a way, like, people are right. Like if the government takes money for your entire life, when it's up to you to get a pension or something, like, you should be able to ask, right? Because like, you paid for it, it's still your cash. But that's not really how it works. So like, instead of trying to have families and be like have this human connection, now you need to worship the government. Now you need to make sure that you vote for politicians that continue the welfare system. Now you need to vote for politicians that take more taxes from people. and again, like, the main issue is that when the taxes run out, when there's not more people, like the new generation isn't larger than the previous one, well, then you have people freaking out about the demographics. But again, like, the main problem are the consequences, right? Because, like, when you are incentivized to have a family, like, if you know when you're old no one takes care of you, then you're incentivized to have kids. You're going to be like, okay, well, at least one. And if you have one kid, like, it's sustainable, right? If you have even 2 kids, it's sustainable. The idea, like, is you can't every single generation have like 3 or 4 kids, because like after a while the exponential growth is so high that you're going to run out of resources, not out of living space, but resources. So my point is, when you take away the consequences from the individual, and the idea is, oh, well, when I'm old, the government will look after me like they're looking after daddy, chances are it may not. And that's when you have the problem that you have in Japan. You're wrong, since if people don't at least have enough children to replace the current population, it goes extinct. No, okay, again, that's not what I'm saying. It doesn't go extinct. Holy shit, why would you say that? Okay, so let's go back to our graph. Now let's say every single person has more children than the previous generation, like you said. The graph would look like this. It's not sustained, like, you definitely run out of resources. I mean, you would have the locust people. What I am saying is that you have, like, let's say the first generation, right? So you have people multiplying, and then it plateaus. Like, let's say at this point, you have like the demographic decline, right? So it goes down, and then people start having kids again, and it goes back up, and then it goes down, right? So it's more like a wave. Like, it doesn't have to be, okay? It doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like this. Okay, like, it can literally be like this. And I think, like, if you look at human history, this is the normal thing. Like, this is actually natural and expected to have the waves. Take into account that evolutionary speaking, like when you look at other animals that are closely related to humans, like you look at other mammals, you'll notice that when they have a lot of when they don't have a lot of resources, it's kind of counterintuitive. Like the first time you hear about it, it doesn't make sense, but then you realize that, oh, hold on, it's actually true. When people don't have resources, they have a lot of kids, right? So you have like a bad economic time, the Great Depression or something like that. People have a lot of kids. And then you have prosperity. People are rich. They have fewer kids. Now, this doesn't really make sense when you think about it. Like, shouldn't it be the other way around? Like, shouldn't people who are prosperous and are doing really great, shouldn't those people have, like, more kids than the ones that are doing poor? Like, why is it that the person living in a trailer happens to have, like, 7 or 8 kids? The person living in a farm happens to have a large family, and then you look at the person that's a doctor, a university professor, he may not even have kids. Well, why is that a thing? And the answer is very simple. When there's a lot of when there aren't resources, the reason for people having a lot of kids is that it's not even like subconsciously speaking, but like the way it works is that if you don't have resources, at least some kids get to make it, right? So like if you're in the Great Famine, during the Great Leap Forward in Soviet China, if you have one child, if you have, or if you're in a medieval time during the Black Death, if you have one kid, he may not make it. If you have like 6 or 7, at least one of them may pass the generation. Again, like this is not even a subconscious thing. I don't even know how to explain why it's happening, but you look at other mammals, and you can look at the rat utopia and many other experiments that were done like this. When there's a lot of resources, surprisingly, they choose not to reproduce. When there's fewer resources, that's when they reproduce. So like going back to the thing that I was talking about, right? Like if you have a country which is doing poorly economically, right? Like so feudal ages, population goes up. Oh, now it's doing really great economically, population goes down. But what happens when population goes down? Well, the economy starts going to shit. What did we say happens when the economy goes to shit? Well, people have more kids. Oh, now they're having more kids, economy is great again. People are having less kids, right? So my point is, it's not like this. It's not like this. It's more like this. And this is actually normal. This is considered to be okay. Anyway, let's see. Hi V, hope your day is going well. Sad truth is most black people in America believe this systemic racist conspiracy. If living among them for 34 years of my life is not enough proof for you, then I can't help you. No, I know they believe it. Like, I'm not saying they don't. But what I am saying is that this is how you debunk it. It's like, okay, well, which country is better than the United States? And they can't say one. But even then, you can ask, all right, so if the United States is so bad, if I was to give you money, which other country on earth would you rather live in? And they can't say. Here's the thing. In Romania, if you ask people, they will immediately say, oh, I want to live in Japan. Oh, I want to live in the United States. Oh, I want to live in Canada. Do you know how many people around the world would respond to the question, if you could live in any country on earth, which one would it be? Do you know how many people would say the United States in a heartbeat? Like that is the difference. The rat utopia that works is they weren't allowed to leave. The rats would have went elsewhere. You say that, but it's not so simple. I mean, look at China. They have overpopulation. Same with India. It's true that some people leave, but most people prefer not to. Most people don't leave because of economic reasons. I mean, leaving is expensive. Other people don't leave because they don't want to abandon their friends and families. So, if you look at people who leave due to overpopulation, and you look at China or you look at India, it's a very minuscule percentage compared to the total population. So yes, it's true. Like some of them do leave, but not that many. Mouse Utopia gains whole new levels of meaning when you factor in the Disney mascot. The Mouse Utopia lacked predation. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it lacked predation. That's the problem. But it's definitely like not the way rats usually live. Because there may be like rats in a house where they don't have predators. I can't explain why it failed, to be honest, but we know it did. Also, I don't know like if anyone tried to reproduce the experiment, because just like making one experiment once on one population and finding a result doesn't mean that you'd get the same result the second time around. They just don't have the money to leave. I don't think people care about their families and friends. I literally care about my families and friends, man. Like, I could live. I could have left. I could have left. I had the opportunity to do so. I didn't. Some people are actually attached to the place that they grow up. They're attached to their family and friends. They're attached. I mean, like, the idea of going into a new place is scary for some people, especially if it's a new language or new customs. Like, I wouldn't imagine how it would be like for me to move into France. I don't speak French. At this point, I'm too old and lazy to learn the French language. I would probably manage, but you know, like you're going into a different culture. You're going into people that will have expectations of you. No, like it's a lot more convenient to just keep making your life here. So yeah, there is actually a reason why people may not leave because of family and friends. I do not know how big that reason is, but I'm definitely sure like some people factor it in. My grandmothers have 10 kids. My grandma lived to 93. Her life, she lived in a home near her children and helped to care of her. Yeah. I mean, this is the way it used to work up until, I don't know, maybe like 60 years ago. I think like communism unironically changed the system. But up until that point, like this was expected, right? The idea of like getting a retirement pension, no. Especially not from the government. And it usually worked like this. Even if you had ungrateful kids, it worked like this. You managed to have your wealth during your life, okay? So let's say you're in a farm, you have this plot of land, you have your chickens, you got your cows, right? You got your ranch. And then you're going to be unable to work those things because you're like 60 or 70. So you're telling your kids like, hey, like you need to take care of my shit. And if your kids are ungrateful and they don't want to take care of your shit, then you disinherit them. So even if you have like ungrateful kids that really do not care about you at all, you can also make the cynical argument. It's like, look, when I die, I'm not taking the stuff with me in the grave. I'm not taking my ranch into the coffin. So if you want my ranch when I'm gone, I'm 60 years old. I can't work the land anymore. You come here, you work the ranch, and when I'm dead, it's going to be yours. I mean, this is how people used to work in medieval time. This is like how things always were. I believe there was an anime that had this concept where nations settled their grievances through online video games. By the way, regarding the discussion that I had on Archcast, if you guys missed it, I made the video on it on my second channel as well. There are many examples of legislation like this where you have the law, which is meant to do one thing, but it actually does something else completely. And we were talking about Italy, which considers now anime drawings to be the same as CP. Okay, the law again. It doesn't matter what you consider to be pornography. Like the law states that any drawing which arouses, regardless of the intention of the artist, is pornography. So basically, it boils down to, is the 60-year-old judge going to get an erection? Right? So if the 60-year-old judge is aroused, then it means that it's pornographic. Even if it's not, right? So like a picture of Jinx with her outfit, that you get to see her chest and stuff, and she's biting her lower lip. That, it's up to a judge. If the judge is aroused, then it's pornographic. Okay, so once we established if something is or isn't pornographic, like how can we determine the age of Jinx? And the answer again is, apparently if they have big shapely breasts. Now, a lot of people are thinking that this is a good thing because people shouldn't watch anime to begin with. And I'm wondering, like, you do realize the rest of the world doesn't have these legislations. Like, for the rest of the world, a picture of Jinx or a picture of My Hero Academia or something like that is not illegal, right? So you're going to be staying on a Discord, and someone is going to post that. And if you're in Italy, if the government legitimately identifies that, legally speaking, as CP, you're kind of fucked, aren't you? Again, like, even if you're trying your best to avoid anime and, even then, like, there are video games like League of Legends. Again, I do not think that the Italian government is going to prosecute this. I think like they're going to try to follow the spirit of the law rather than the letter. But the fact that there are people on Twitter who literally do not understand the consequences, like, again, we're not talking about drawings or anime here. You're talking about putting a person 3 years in prison over a League of Legends cartoon. You know, like, do you think that is reasonable? I don't think it's reasonable. But what's interesting is you have the same leftists that will argue that there's too many minorities in prison and it's not okay to put people in jail over having pot, right? So, like, having pot, that's fine. But being on a Discord server where someone posts a Jinx cartoon from League of Legends, that is over the pale. How do these people work their morality is what I wonder. Seriously, how do they justify their worldview? Like, how do they consider what is right from wrong when you're looking at their moral compass and it seems to be whatever opinion is trending that day? Because I guarantee to you, if they were to create like an uproar over this shit, if the academics were to freak out over this legislation, immediately they would change their mind. The reliance on daddy government isn't so depressing, says American Outlier. If I had $1 every time I heard I got to wait until the 1st or the 15th to get my check, my bank account would be 100,000. Yeah, no, I completely understand how it's like, because we had communism and it was the same here. But even then, you know, like let's assume, because I actually wanted to create this in my video game, right? So just so you know the censorship that I have to go through. I wanted to create a slime character, right? So, how do you make the slime? Because I wondered, okay, well, what if you, like, use an alchemical formula and you create one as the player? But then I realized, okay, well, and obviously, like, she would look like a mature woman, speak like a mature woman, like she would act entirely adult, right? She's a monster girl, she's a slime creature. But then I realized, hold on a little bit, like, if I did that, she would be like, what, like 5 seconds old, wouldn't she? So, okay, well, you can't create it with the potion, you're summoning her from hell, like... and there's this level of ridiculousness, right, that you have to adapt in order to make sure that, the content that you are having isn't going to land an Italian in prison. It's super hypocritical since you have this weird TV shows featuring real people and they're okay with it. I actually thought about it, right? So, Cobra Kai. Like, let's look at Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai has lesbians in it. You know, like the same people that are freaking out over sexualizing minors. And when they say minors, they use the word in order to get people to think like 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds. But in reality, they mean 16, okay? Cobra Kai, I think like the characters there are 16. Don't you have like those lesbian girls? Aren't there scenes with them kissing and holding hands and wearing cleavage? Isn't that meant to sexualize? Do I find a problem with it? Absolutely not. I grew up with TV shows like that. Like, I'm sorry, I grew up with Buffy Vampire Slayer. Like, what, she was 15 in canon, I think? Unless, like, you're going to have them in a strip club or doing some dirty dancing or, you know, stripping completely. I don't have a problem with it. It's a movie. It's rated T for teens. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ, like, this level of puritanical bullshit that's not even being applied. Like almost everyone likes Cobra Kai. Or My Hero Academia or American Pie. I mean, dude, American slashers, all of them had this thing. You know, like the teenagers that take a break from high school and they're going to a cabin. Oh, my fucking God. There was actually this This slasher movie. I forgot the name of it, but it's about some children going to a summer camp, and one trans person is actually a serial killer. Like she's in charge of the camp. It's a very old one. I think it's since I was growing up. They made a ripoff of it. It's called They Slash Them. I'm not kidding. Like, look it up. It's a trailer, and it's literally the same thing. But again, like you have this whole, oh my god, sexualizing kids and whatever, and then this is a slasher. Like, not only do they do bad stuff, they you also have gore and stuff and such in it. But if you want like something really nasty, look at Children of the Corn. Okay, like Children of the Corn from Stephen King. Here's a fucking question. How did those children reproduce? Because by the time they were 18, they were sacrificed to the corn. And again, like, where is the moral outrage? Like all I'm saying is, like, if you're on Twitter and you're outraged over morality because of fiction, why is it that American shows always get the pass? I'm starting to notice this. And again, like, things with real actors, things that have, like, real people, that gets a pass. Regardless of how lewd it is, regardless of what they're doing, that's fine. I think it's more to do with racism from Japan. That's my take. I think you just don't like Japanese art. You don't like anime, which is fine. But don't pretend you don't like it because of other reasons. Is Italy a big enough market that anime makers need to worry? Couldn't they just shrug off? Okay, so Italy is not a big enough market, but it is like another country. So the question is, like, how many countries are going to follow suit? Australia already did something similar. I think, like, they actually banned Sword Art Online. If I remember correctly, an Australian politician said that Sword Art Online is CP. Again, like, it's a very popular online MMO, open to the public. But anyway, right, so Australia, Germany may be passing similar laws. So you just, like, have various nations just adding up, and eventually, yeah, like this is why Discord, for instance, has the terms of service that they do, and this is why many other things. And unironically, I have the same TOS on my server, and even if Discord wouldn't have them, I still would. You don't want to have an Italian in your Discord, and get them into trouble. The people that complain about sexualizing minors love Euphoria. Square that circle for me. I do not know what Euphoria is, but I did notice that a lot of them are underage, they're Zoomers, and they have pronouns in the bio. Like, unironically, the next generation, the one that was raised with diversity, inclusivity, and equity as moral principles, are going to be probably some of the most puritanical, censorious generation, more so than the millennials. Because at least the millennials, they actually got some morality from the boomers. They actually got some wisdom from mommy and daddy. Most of the Zoomers, they grew up with a smartphone. They grew up with an iPad. They grew up with a touch screen. And they grew up with their school teacher. And their morality is completely messed up. From what I'm seeing. Again, it's difficult to classify an entire generation based on Twitter. But I do think that we are going to witness a lot more censorship in the future. Unless something changes, but again, like, this is why they're putting up with all of the bullshit that's coming. Like, you need to show QR code to sit at your waiter. They're willing to put up with most of this, and I saw, like, one of the most harrowing videos today, which is going to be on my main channel. There was this lady, and she was talking at the World Economic Forum on how people don't really want to own stuff. Like, how many of you own your phones? Not a lot, right? Like, what does it matter if you own your phone or your company owns your phone? Or if you're leasing your phone? Like, you just want the function, right? You don't want the phone, you want the function. So, like, why wouldn't it be good if you had, like, a subscription for everything? For your washing machine, for your car, for your house? Because at the end of the day, this helps the company make a cheaper product because it's recyclable. We're helping the environment. And I was, like, freaking out, seeing how many people are agreeing with this. And most of them were young people, like, very young in the audience. And I'm thinking, well, lady, I suppose the difference between owning my phone or someone else owning it is that if it's my phone, I can do whatever I want with it. If it's someone else's phone, I have to follow terms of service, don't I? If it's my phone, I have privacy. If it's someone else's phone, it means that they can see everything that I do on my phone. If it's my phone, it means that it's mine. If it's someone else's, they can take it away whenever they want. And you're not talking about phones. You're talking about washing machines. Like, imagine if the company gets to take away my washing machine because I failed one payment. Or because they found a video of me on TikTok saying racismus on the keyboard. And now I can't wash my clothing. I don't think like this is a good society. I do not think that this is a desirable lifestyle. And again, like, why are we doing this lifestyle? Like, remind me, because everyone can afford a phone. Right? I see beggars on the street that have phones. Everyone can afford the washing machine. I don't think there's a single house in my country right now that doesn't have one washing machine. They're so cheap. So why exactly do we need to transition to the subscription-based model? Like, I would understand, like, if people wanted private jets, and you have, like, a subscription-based model for a private jet because it's too expensive to buy one. Okay, I get that, but, like, phones and washing machines in 2023. Like, we're not talking about the communist era where a washing machine was a luxury because they were very expensive. No. We're talking about the washing machine today. Like sure, not everyone can afford the most expensive model of a washing machine. I get that. But you don't need to. Like, the cheapest washing machine is affordable by literally everybody. Unless, you live in a very poor country. I mean, sure, if you have, like, this plan for, I don't know. But like, the problem with very poor countries is that they don't have electricity or water. So the washing machine wouldn't help them much. Washing machines aren't very cheap. Man, get the fuck out. Let me check the cheapest washing machine available. Okay, so let's say I'm going to look on a Romanian website. I'm just curious, like, what is the cheapest model available? Okay, so I'm looking for something where I do not have money. It's $100 fucking. Shut the fuck up. Okay? So this thing is $100. Now let's say that, oh, well, this is not a washing machine. Like, I am poor, but I'm not poor enough to have this. Okay, let's look at something that actually looks a little bit more presentable then. So you have something more presentable for $200. Here you go. Like, the cheapest washing machine is $200. Now I'm not saying that you gotta buy it in 1 month. Okay, if you're that poor, you can save 4 months, and then you buy it. Look, I'm not unreasonable, okay? I'm not going to be like, oh my god, you do not have $200 for cookies? It's 4 cookies. $50. Okay, I'm not like that, but we're talking about a washing machine. Come the fuck on. I mean, you can always just wash clothes by the river. That's also an opportunity. Someone messaged me, said it's $120. Yeah, I mean, it's between $100 and $200. Come on, are you going to be like Democrats by saying that poor people can't afford ID? I bought mine at $400 because they refused to sell anything lower than that in my area. I mean, okay, I suppose, but like, if you're really that poor, okay, so you can't afford $400, fucking get a bus ticket and buy one from somewhere else. I mean, there are options. You can have a friend with a car, and you can go with your friend and buy one from somewhere else. Don't buy it from your area. It's a washing machine. It's a necessity. The reason that I know things are cheap is because you do not have repairmen for these things. Like, when the washing machine breaks, most people just throw it away. Like, if they can't repair it themselves. When I grew up, there were repair shops for almost everything. Like, you had the repair shop for televisions, you had the repair shop for washing machines. How many repair shops for televisions are there now? I mean, there are a couple. But, like, most people, unless you bought an 8K television in order to show off or whatever, you're going to just buy a new one. Why? Because they're cheap. Right? Like, we live in a time where most things are cheaper than they have ever been in human history. And I'm saying this from Romania. You guys are from the United States. Like, the idea that people commit crime because of poverty is an American myth. America is the reason why the concept of people committing crime due to poverty is false. I mean, things are so cheap and so good that the government has to constantly make regulations to prevent people from being happy. V, they are 200 for you, but in the US it's 400 to 1,000. Okay, fine, $400. It's a washing machine. You got 2 months to save money for it. In 4 months you can buy one. You save $100 every month, and then you bought a washing machine. Why would you need a subscription model? Like, do you honestly? Okay, let's assume that we would actually do what this lady was saying, that everything should come with a subscription, right? So you're paying your subscription for your washing machine, like Netflix. Every month, you pay, I don't know, $10 for your washing machine, yes? Okay. $10 for the washing machine, $20 for the fridge, $10 for the gas stove, $20 for the telephone. I mean, if you are going to add up the prices, you eventually will probably end up paying more each month than if you actually bought the fucking thing. Because I'm telling you, a company wants to make money. You know, right? And they're going to charge you as much as they can and get away with it. You should only use them if you have nothing, yeah. I mean, the laundromat is a thing. It depends, like, where you live. Like, if you don't have a lot of living space, like most people who get washing machines now. Most people who don't get washing machines, from my impression, is like either the people that don't have where to install one because of living space. So, like, they live in a very tiny apartment and they can't have another place to put the washing machine, or they don't have the pipes set up, right? But like most people, in every house that I go, man, I go to houses that are poor as fuck. They have a washing machine. What happens if I couldn't get my buyer's remorse if I got the washing machine? I don't know. I don't think it's well, when you want to return the money and they say that they won't, that's when you get your buyer's remorse. The people who commit crimes for poverty live in Democrat cities. That usually causes the problem. You cannot tell me you're committing crimes for poverty when you have makeup. Like, unironically, it's so hilarious. Like, when I tell people that they do not know what a poor person looks like, they freak out. Hasan Piker, right? He goes to Mexico, and everyone was trying to swindle him. Like, he was complaining. The taxi driver tried to swindle him. Like, there were people on the street trying to swindle him. And he thought it's because he was Turk. And it's like, no, they don't fucking know you're Turk. Like, if I look at Hasan Piker, I have no fucking clue that he's from Turkey. Unless he says. He speaks perfect American. He's dressed like an American. He looks like an American. Like, I see Hasan Piker, I think American. I don't think Turkey. The reason people were trying to swindle him is because they unironically do not know how a poor person looks like. And I talk about this on another stream. It's not just how you dress. It's also how you do your hair. Like, poor people, like, you know, they don't have time. Or if they, sorry, it's not that they don't have time. They don't have the luxury to do their hair every single fucking time. Like, sometimes their hair will look like this. The clothes on their backs, they look like the collar is going out of the cloth. They're still clean, right? So, like, if you're a poor person, it doesn't mean you're a messy person. But what it means to be poor, it means that to you, a haircut is a luxury. You only get it if absolutely necessary. Buying a new shirt becomes a luxury. You only do it if it's absolutely necessary. So when you see someone that has, like, really tidy hair, especially if they have gel on it, or a lady that has a lot of expensive makeup on, and their clothes, even though they're not extravagant, but they're clean, they look fresh, that's a rich person. Dude, I lived in a poor neighborhood. Like you automatically spot these things just by looking at a person. I can tell you if they're like low class, medium class, or upper class. I can even tell you if they're a shady person or a person that's a law abiding citizen. Just by one look, it takes me like maybe 5 or 10 seconds. I stereotype so fucking good, chat, you can't even know. It's almost like premonition. If having 18 charisma is mind reading, my level of stereotyping is premonition level. I don't want the subscription, lol. Says American Outlier. I'm just stating price difference. Also, I have a double deck washing machine on the bottom and diary on the top. I also forgot to mention, you say that in America it's more expensive, but take into account Americans make more money than Romanians. So percentage-wise, it may not be as expensive. Like, for example, $1,000 in Romania, it's above medium wage. $1,000. I do not know how much the welfare is in the US, like how much people make on welfare. But I think it's more than 1,000, right? So stop bitching. The water bill is an issue in California now. And there you fucking go. How the fuck can California have water issues? Like, you need a Democrat in charge. Like, this is what I don't get, okay? Let me see. This is California, yeah, right? It's next to the fucking Pacific Ocean. Now, I know that people will say, well, water from the ocean is not drink. I get it. No, you're right. We have the technology to take the salt away from the fucking water, right? They get it. Oh, but it's expensive. It's fucking California. They can't do it. Not to mention, like, doesn't, like, the closer you are to the ocean, the more likely it is to rain and shit. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just bizarre. To me, it doesn't make fucking sense. Like, how can you be literally next to the ocean and have problems getting water to people? I'm sure there's an explanation for it. No, not ironically. I'm pretty sure, like, someone in the comments like, well, we actually... Okay. It's just that it doesn't happen in other countries, you know? Yeah, they literally do it in Gaza. They have the technology to do it in Gaza. They actually know how to take away the salt from the water. My water bill is $25 a month and I live in the desert. Yeah, my water bill is around the same. Jesus fucking Christ. Can you imagine like $600 water bill? The fuck are you doing then? Are you like, leaving the water? Like if I leave my water running, if I go in every room in my... I go into the kitchen and the 2 bathrooms that I have and I leave the water running. Oh, you know what? I will leave it in the garden as well. Just right. So I leave the water running everywhere. I will not get a $600 bill. It's fucking impossible. Like, you can't do it in Romania. I think, like, you would have to tinker with the pressure. Like, if I go and I tinker with the pressure for the water in my house, so that, like, in the garden, it just goes like... Like, maybe then. Actually, you know what? I used to have an ex-girlfriend. She was really poor. Like, she lived in actual poverty. Like, we're talking water was dripping from her roof level of poor. Okay, like, that's what poor means in my dictionary. I don't know, like, what other interpretation people have, but... Anyway, so, she was really poor, and she had this problem that in her garden, the water pipe, which was actually going underneath the earth, broke, right? So now, like, the entire place was muddy, and the water, like, she couldn't stop it for a couple of weeks. I don't know why. Like, they explained it. Because, like, if they were to stop it, they would have to cut the water for the entire neighborhood or some shit. Whatever. By the time, like, someone came to fix it, it was a couple of... She didn't have a $600 bill. Water... Just, what the... Donate here to help Via for the washing machine. Dude, I have a washing machine. You want the shower to have all that pressure, not your garden hose. I don't fucking know, man. Like, but the idea is you can't get a $600 water bill here. Like, the only way you can get a $600 water bill is if you have a swimming pool. And I think, like, even people with a swimming pool don't get a $600 water bill. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? What are you doing with that water? Putting gold in it? Can they not shut off the valve at the house? I don't think the problem is that the water wasn't coming from the house. It was coming from someplace else. So they needed to send someone to find out where it's coming from. I didn't get into that drama, to be honest. But she was very distraught when it happened. Eventually they fixed it, but they needed a guy in order to fix it. The city hall sent someone. Desalination is expensive without nuclear reactors for power. I see. I remember a couple of years ago when California had a drought, and while they had to ration water, the rich areas were watering their lawns. Doesn't surprise me. Do you know what's more interesting? Is like if you put Democrats in charge of California, you run out of water. I'm curious, like if Democrats would be in charge of Nevada if people ran out of sand. Like, unironically, you know, I'm willing to bet, okay, probably not sand, because sand is useless. But if you put, like, Democrats in charge of the ice pole, you know, some Eskimo tribe, like you take some communists or Democrats, because at this point it's almost like interchangeably. Their policies are equally ruinous. You put them in charge of a place with a lot of ice, you know, Alaska. No, Alaska isn't a good example. Some village in Siberia, right? And the people there, let's say they actually use the ice for something, like they use the ice to melt it, to make water. They use the ice to keep other things cool. They would run out of ice. Like with Democrat policies, they would find a way to get people to run out of ice. Like you would see an old lady in that fucking village in Siberia going out in order to boil some water, and she can't find ice anywhere. Like, it's minus 25 degrees Celsius, but she cannot find ice for the death. Like, there's none. Doesn't exist. You use sand and concrete? Okay, so if you put Democrats in charge of Nevada, they would run out of concrete. Like, concrete would cost $600. You'd have the most expensive concrete in the fucking world. And it would be due to the sand shortage. Beaches are actually declining because sand is precious in construction industry. I see. Depends on the sand. Some sand is better than that. Dude, it's a joke. Okay, I'm trying to be funny. I'm not actually trying to be like 100% correct in my humor. Anyway, I wanted to discuss something that I spoke about on my secondary channel. And I just think it's important. So, the actor who plays Homelander, he doesn't understand. Doesn't understand why people like Homelander. Let's see if I can find the interview. You know what? Let's just go on Reddit. I mean, here's the question. Why do people like Soldier Boy so much? Right? The first question. Why do people like Soldier Boy? Calling him Chad reads like idolization. I always thought it was pretty clear that he was portrayed as completely evil, right? So this is the interesting thing. Like they do not understand why people like Soldier Boy. He's completely evil. The main reason people like him is that we disagree with woke morality. Like, woke morality is a very fringe, radical, extremist morality that most people are forced to believe rather than are convinced by it. So, woke morality teaches that the male gaze is evil. Therefore, Soldier Boy is evil because he has the male gaze. Woke morality believes that toxic masculinity is evil. Therefore, Soldier Boy is toxic, so he's evil, right? But the worst thing that woke morality does is that they believe that once a person does something bad, they can't be redeemed. They do not believe in redemption at all. So because of that, they believe that Soldier Boy can never be redeemed because he did misogynismus. But in reality, when you look at what Soldier Boy has done, oh, and also they believe, okay, another thing that woke morality does is that they believe that people are either evil or good. They do not believe that a human being can be a complex individual, and the type of person that you may like as a friend, someone may hate their guts. Because that's how human relationship works. Like, you may enjoy the company of someone, but that same person can be an absolute, like that same person for another person can be an absolute dick. Right? So basically, when they create characters with woke moral, what wokeness considers evil, other people find relatable. I mean, think about it. What exactly did Soldier Boy do wrong? Like what are his crimes? Well, his crime seems to be that he was a dick to his coworkers. Okay. He murdered innocents. But the ones that he murdered was due to the fact that he was exploding, right? So it's not really on him. But as much as I'm thinking like that, that's pretty much like the evil that we see. And again, like when you're looking at a movie, you're comparing with other people from that movie. Like you're not. I mean, Starlight is a good girl compared to the other superheroes, but in reality, she's a murderer as well. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, these are the negative traits of Soldier Boy. What are his positives? Well, his positives are that he is very loyal. If you're acting like you're supposed to, like if you're acting like a man, he will respect you. His negative aspects are explained due to the trauma from his childhood. Yeah, like every other superhero from the boys. But like, no, think about it. Like, I guess people like Soldier Boy because they can view that they would like to have a friend like him. They would like someone like him that looks up to you. Simple as that. And the reason he is relatable is that he has flaws. When you create a character without flaws, when you create, Rey from Star Wars, the reason people do not like her is that she is unbelievable. And she is not a human being. She doesn't have any flaws. She doesn't have any character traits that are negative. She is like Jesus Christ. But unlike Jesus, she doesn't have divinity. How much does the internet cost here? About $10 a month. Fastest internet in the world. Not the fastest, but one of the. So, I think that's why. Like, unironically, I still think, like, what did Soldier Boy do wrong exactly? You know, like he followed his principles, he followed his promise, you made the deal with him, he stuck by the deal. If anything, like, Soldier Boy is lawful neutral. Homelander is, I would say, lawful evil. He still follows the laws of society, right? Like, most of the time. And what I mean by this, the laws of society are the laws of Vought, right? He still tries to operate within the laws and get away with it. Like if he can get away with it, he would. Maybe you can say neutral evil. But no, I think even Homelander is lawful to a certain degree. And at the end of the day, the lawfulness aspect is what matters the most. When social justice activists make characters that are good, they're chaotic. Which means chaotic is unlawful. They hate rules, they disagree with rules. But most people, they do like rules. And from what I see, both Soldier Boy and Homelander operate within the rules. They're lawful. I wouldn't say he's chaotic good. No, I wouldn't say Homelander is neutral evil. He still cares about the laws. I mean, up until the last season. But like, for example, when he tries to take down the CEO of Vought Corporation, he doesn't just kill him, right? Because that would be neutral evil. He just goes and kills the CEO of Vought, and he fixes the problem. But no, what he does is he actually manipulates things behind the scene, creates this press conference where this other chick denounces him, and Edgar what is his name? I forgot his name. Holy shit. Edgar, I think is his name, right? He gets ousted as CEO. That's what a lawful person does. I think, yeah, like most people like just rules, but most modern movies have so many chaotic characters that people would even accept unjust rules. Like, think about it this way. I actually read an article. I think it was even in the New York Times, but it was a couple of years ago, so I don't know if it counts. But basically, they were pointing out how one of the main reasons you have high crime rates in impoverished areas is that you have like this chaos in many people's lives. They were trying to hint out to single mother families, right? And the mother being at work most of the time, you don't really get an education. Like she's busy working, right? So then you go to school, and at school everyone makes fun of the teacher. The teacher can't teach, so you don't get any sense of hierarchy there. And the only type of hierarchy that you get is by joining a gang. So that's how the New York Times like tried to rationalize and explain why gangs are popular in these areas. Is because like people are looking for rules. They're looking for a system, even if it's unjust. They want some order in their life. They don't want chaos. They gravitate towards some form of normalcy. Will Marvel be prosecuted for redistributing CP in Italy? Uh, I think the way it works, like they're not going to prosecute, like they're not prosecuting the director of Cuties either. No, they're going to find the platform, and they're going to ban access from that particular thing. Um, but theoretically they should, yeah. But they don't have the jurisdiction. Again, I don't, like usually the way the laws are enforced in real life, there's also the question like how much does it cost for us to do it? Like what is the actual public harm? Again, take into account that the director of Kuti still hasn't been charged, so I remember like the left defending that movie. Like I think it was the Guardian and many other mainstream articles that were literally defending that. And the same articles, the same publications were there attacking the Sound of Freedom. Like I found that to be incredibly interesting. Anyway, I'm going to upload the videos on my main channel now, so hopefully you guys will check it out. And I do thank you for the super chats. I do thank you for hanging around, and I will see you guys tomorrow.